Coming up on this week's action-packed Eurogamer TV show, there's passion in the Parisian air as we break our restraining order to get up close and personal with Assassin's Creed producer Jade Raymond and more at Ubidays. And some of the world's top footy stars ditch the pitch and rubber up for the FIFA 08 motion capture extravaganza. But first, lock up your little sisters, BioShock is here.
Such is the excitement surrounding Ken Levine's BioShock that people are already hailing it as a potential game of the year before anyone's even played it. Well, here tonight, that all changes when we get our first hands-on experience with the underwater utopian thriller. Welcome to Rapture.
I built a city where the artist would not fear. Rapture.
BioShock is the story of one man's utopian dream made real. But Andrew Ryan's Rapture, like all man-made paradises, goes spectacularly wrong. And this supposedly perfect society of the world's greatest minds crumbles in the face of its most incredible discovery, advanced genetic modification. You come in after it's all gone tits up. A plane crash leads you to the entrance to Rapture. Once below the surface, you discover a world ravaged by ambition, with nasty surprises lurking around every corner. What happens next is in no small part up to you. In Ken Levine, the game's charismatic creator, we have a man intent on redefining the first-person experience. Big promise, big ideas, we hear it all the time. So we headed to the Big Apple to make up our own minds with the first proper hands-on playtest. Ken set the scene at the New York event with a look at the full introductory sequence that will greet new players. We got to play the entire first section of the game, where you begin to feel your way around Rapture with the help of a mysterious man named Atlas, who chats away to you remotely.
Steady now. Your entire genetic code has just been rewritten by a plasmid called Electrobolt. I know it feels mighty strange, but breathe deep and you'll...
Adam is the genetic material responsible for Rapture's downfall. It's also essential to your progress. Once exposed to Adam, your own genetic code is rewritten, giving you access to incredible powers you will need to stay alive. Plasmids are the paint on Adam's genetic canvas, special abilities that let you harness the potential of the environment. And you'll need every last one to fend off the splicers, Rapture's disfigured army of Adam-addicted genetic freaks. Electrify water and help yourself to a splicer omelette. And telekinesis is not only useful for turning around projectile attacks, you can also make your own weapons without getting your hands dirty. We also got our first taster of the profoundly unsettling yet curiously touching relationship between the big daddies and the little sisters. These demon children trawl Rapture, leeching Adam from corpses under the watchful eye of their massive protectors. You need Adam. To get to Adam, you need to get to the girl. To get to the girl, you need to go through him. And it's in these battles that the game promises to be at its most nerve-shredding and inventive. But assuming you can even defeat a big daddy, what then? Do you spare the girl and return her to a childish state of innocence? Or, and you can already hear the tabloids shrieking, do you harvest her for Adam? This is the essence of BioShock.
It changes gameplay more, actually. Like, whether you sort of go the saving the little sisters path, which is what Tenenbaum wants you to do, or, you know, taking the, harvesting the Adam from little sisters, which is what Atlas wants you to do, because he's saying, Atlas says to you, those aren't even children anymore. They're monsters. They're already gone. They're dead already. But if you're going to survive, and I'm going to survive, and my wife and child who are trapped down here are going to survive, you need the Adam to, you know, to give you the powers to survive down here. So that moral choice is really ambiguous.
It's clearly more thoughtful than the average shooter. But then Ken Levine is more thoughtful than the average flag-waving FPS designer.
I grew up loving books like 1984 and loving movies like Logan's Run. I don't know if you remember that movie. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with that movie. You know it? And I always loved the idea of a great world, like where there's a catch. I remember that was the slogan. And I looked at a guy like Andrew Ryan, and I said, And a lot of guys who have a strong belief in a philosophy, they always have some great ideas. But the trouble is that philosophies are these ideals, but people are not ideal. And what happens when people, mix up with these ideals? And that's what Rapture is. It's some really interesting ideas screwed up by the fact that we're people.
With BioShock set in the mid-20th century, parallels with the brutal ideologies of Hitler and Stalin are fairly clear. This idea is seeded into the player's mind by the look and feel of the game, rather than just falling back on traditional storytelling methods.
We don't have really a lot of cutscenes in this game. That's not my thing. I'm not a Final Fantasy guy where I'm going to write a 20-minute scene where you can tell the philosophy of the game. I have to do it really quick and really compress it, and I have to have the world tell a story. The big daddies and little sisters just visually tell a story. And I like that challenge, because I'm not a gamer who loves watching story. It's great to be able to tell the core theme of the game just by looking at it. You don't need to hear a word. You look at it and you go, I get a little bit of what's going on here just by looking at it. And I love, plus it's a great period, it's a great look, it's a great style, it's a great feel.
Which is all fascinating stuff. But Levine is very clear that first and foremost, BioShock has to be a fun, entertaining game. Not only that, but if you'll forgive the pun, a watershed in first-person gaming.
I want BioShock to be one of those games where people say, yeah, after I played BioShock, I wanted more. I wanted this and I wanted that. And when the other game didn't have it, I got mad. And as a gamer, I hope it's, like in the same way when, Gran Turismo came out and people now expect to be able to tune their cars, not just race on track. That's one of those games where people say, I want to do those things, man. Give me those things. Because that makes better games. And it's a game that says yes to the player, that their expectations are fulfilled, that their improvisation is rewarded, that their choice is validated, that their experience is different from their friends, and that a walkthrough is no good to you. They go into the water cooler or the schoolyard the next day and they say, oh, you did it that way, I did it this way.
And so, gaming influences are every bit as important as the cinematic and literary ones.
Well, I'm a total slut, ideas from everywhere, games, movies, books. I play everything. There's a lot of Ratchet and Clank in this game, I think. The fact that, they give you this huge tool set, and they say go to town. And so, I'm not turned off by, I'll play any game, and I play almost every game. And I think it's really important for a game is that I don't meet these guys in the industry say, oh, I don't really play games. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing in this industry?
The first moral dilemma you lot will face is whether or not to buy it when it hits Xbox 360 and PC this August. Having spent a good 2 hours immersed in Rapture, you can find out exactly what I thought in an extensive preview on Eurogamer.net today. To harvest or not to harvest? That is the question.
One of the great things about being a filthy rich mega publisher is all the money you've got to lavish on top superstar talent. We're here in Barcelona with filthy rich mega publisher EA. We're at the official FIFA 08 motion capture session. On top of the superstar bill is none other than the world's probably second greatest footballer after Manchester United's Cristiano Ronaldo. Over my shoulder, looking like an extra at the Rocky Horror Show, it's Ronaldinho.
While the EA suits might be high-fiving over the sales figures, the FIFA team will never be satisfied until their title is embraced as the gamer's beautiful game. Converting a Pro Evo diehard to FIFA is a bit like asking Eurogamer's Tom Bramwell to start supporting Everton. Don't go there. But EA still hit Konami with a crunching tackle with FIFA's excellent 360 debut last year, as Konami took its eye off the ball with a lazy next-gen port of the PS2 version. PES, Eurogamer decided, still just had the edge on gameplay, but Konami had some serious competition at last. So, having fielded an impressive next-gen team last season, EA is intent on strengthening its squad for FIFA 08. Which is why, as any Chelsea fan will tell you, having stupid amounts of money helps. Beautiful goal! So, this year's lineup of superstars includes Bayer Leverkusen midfielder Tranquillo Barnetto, the man dubbed as the Austrian Beckham, Panathinaikos' Andreas Ivanschitz, Real Madrid's Sergio Ramos, Werder Bremen's Miroslav Klose, and of course Big Ron himself. Oh, what a Aside from supplementing their meagre multi-million-pound salaries, the main reason these players are here today is to be dressed up in dodgy bondage gear and have their sublime skills captured to help the dev team continue to raise the bar on realism. EA's motion capture facility in Vancouver is the most advanced in the games industry, we're assured. It took 12 people 5 days to erect what they call the capture volume, and each of the 54 cameras is worth a cool $20,000, which even makes a PlayStation 3 seem cheap. Barnetta and even Shits are up first, and we catch them at the body markering stage. Each of the raised points on their bodies reflects light, which is captured by the cameras and translated in real time into a virtual environment. New for this year is enhanced facial capturing tech. One of Team EA explains.
The facial capture technology is much more refined. It's a micro technology where we put the reflections on the face and we pass them under the technology for scans. We take pictures of them and then it comes here in a facial scan. It's a 3D scan that's exactly replica of the athlete's expression for their face.
And here they are in action.
Oh, what a finish!
All the exercises we've done are like every training, every game, and usual movements. So it's nothing special, nothing different to being on the field, really being on the field. So it's 100% what we are doing on the pitch in the games.
As talented as these guys are, it's clearly not the same thing as being out on the pitch. And this presents quite a few challenges to EA's directors.
Key is to try and get the talent to behave as if they were playing a real game. It's quite often you get like quite a wooden performance from your talent because they're not in the heat of the moment. They're just as if they're practicing, and you get a very lackluster kind of motion from them. So I think the key for us for FIFA is to really try and get the actors in the moment and make them feel like they're really in the game. Then the motion you get out of the event is much better quality that way. So variety is crucial for us. Obviously, I mean sometimes you'll get motion captured once that isn't as good quality as other capture. I mean we captured Wayne Rooney in Manchester last year, I think it was, and actually the motion we got from there was really good. We got him to do some shots, and he just leathered the ball, and the motion you could tell he was so energetic about striking the ball, and that's some of the best motion we've had so far.
All the captured footage will be painstakingly sifted through and worked into FIFA 08 in time for release. But with a fully playable PS2 version already up and running, how important is today's session?
It's great seeing these guys actually in the motion capture doing the moves. It is pivotal for the success of our games. The level of animation that we have now to play in the games. If we just had an artist just turning dials, just animating themselves with the software packages, the game would probably take about 15 years to make, and we'd never get to the real athletic detail that really lives within players like Ronaldinho, because he's the one that comes up with skill moves like the flick-flack. If it was left to our interpretation, it would never be 100% accurate.
The players move thick and fast through the revolving capture door all afternoon. But Ronaldinho is the main attraction, and the assembled press gets a few words of wisdom with the Brazilian superstar before he gets to slip on the special rubber dignity suit.
I like to compare what I see in a game to my real movements and my expressions, the way I play, the way I run, the dribbling I do. It's a little bit weird, but it's fun to see. When I started playing FIFA, I had no idea what I was doing. I started with the World Cup and I stuck with it. And when I finally won a tournament, it was a great feeling. Sometimes I like to go home after a game and play. Not out of revenge or because I'm angry, but I like to see if what didn't necessarily come out right in reality might work in the game.
But time is money, and it's about time Ronnie started earning his. So on comes the suit of sexiness, and it's out on the virtual pitch for the final all-important mocap session of the day. Later on, Ronaldinho tells us the moment he decided to devote his life to the beautiful game.
It was 13 years ago, and watching the 1994 World Cup, I realised that was what I wanted to do, being like Romario, winning a World Cup, and in these times I already knew well what football was about, and from that moment I began to take it seriously.
On today's evidence, Ronaldinho isn't the only one, and you'll get to experience the fruits of EA's extensive labours when FIFA 08 kicks off later this year. Ah, gay Paris, city of art, fine wines, haute cuisine, fashion, and culture. The French capital of cool played host to Ubisoft's Ubidays event last month, an E3 replacing extravaganza for the European press to check out the French firm's latest range of Gallic goodness. Set deep within the cheesy bowels of the world-famous Louvre, Ubisoft appeared to have invited half the population of Europe to the event, and then spent 2 hours letting us through the front door. We'd like to think this was actually a really clever way of illustrating the cutting-edge crowd gameplay in Assassin's Creed. With the best part of 1,000 people seated, Ubisoft kicked off its Eurovision-esque gaming catwalk show with producers for each title doing their little turn for the press. The quality of Ubisoft's portfolio speaks for itself, of course, which was a good job given the bewildered host had clearly never played a video game before in her life, bless her.
In fact, I think that we have people on our team from every single Clancy console game that we've released at Ubisoft.
And I'm not a great specialist here, so everything seems incredibly impressive.
The rest of Europe will fall.
Brand new console RTS, Tom Clancy's End War, Free Radical's Thinking Man's Wargame Haze, Splinter Cell Conviction, Naruto, and Ubisoft's new casual games range all had their moments in the spotlight, as did Brothers in Arms creator Randy Pitchford's shirt, which won the award for Best Graphics on the night. And some real-life raving rabbits were so excited about Raymond's latest game they literally crapped themselves. Oh, and there was also some girl called Jade Raymond banging on about Assassin's Creed, but we know you wouldn't be interested in that. Plenty to mull over at the epic after-show party, so jam-packed with entertainment, even the blokes' toilets had a DJ. James the cameraman assures me this was purely for research purposes, and he most definitely was not cruising. Anyway, back to the games. First up, Haze. From the creators of GoldenEye and N64 and the Time Splitters series, Haze is a near-future FPS set in a world where every aspect of people's lives is run by a single megacore mantle. But Free Radical has eschewed the typical gung-ho macho bullshit in favour of a more thoughtful examination of the impact of war.
There are some characters and you have a relationship with them, and that relationship changes because they do unpredictable things or they do things that make you feel uncomfortable about being associated with them. And particularly in video games where, I mean, life is incredibly cheap in an FPS because there's just people being gunned down all over the place. So it's an interesting thing to try to actually address the emotions of being a soldier in an environment which is by its very nature sanitized. So in this game you're shooting at the start and you're shooting at the end. And we have to somehow change your opinion about that as you go through and make you uncomfortable about it, make you pleased about it, make you upset. I've never fired a real gun, and I have absolutely no desire to fire a real gun or have anyone near me firing a real gun. And it's funny because I think, again, I don't want to caricature people, but the worst case of the kind of like the censors and the people who just like vilifying games all the time is I don't know what they think we do. We go home and like sit in the dark blindfolded and field strip, AK-47s and stuff. It's like, no, we're normal people just trying to make entertainment.
The game leads on PS3 later this year, with 4-player co-op to boot. As much as we love Britsoft hero Dave, we were ever so slightly preoccupied with someone else. Back off, mates.
Affirmative.
Tom Clancy's End War is a new series in the massively popular franchise that has already spawned Splinter Cell and Ghost Recon. And Ubisoft's Shanghai studio is hoping to break the mould by creating a real-time strategy game that actually works on consoles.
Anybody who can issue a squad command in a tactical shooter like Brothers in Arms or Ghost Recon can play our game. Our UI maps almost exactly the same as Ghost Recon, you know, so the D-pad selects through your units. It's sort of like Rome in that your units are divided into squads or teams, so you've got 12 teams. A button gives them an order, and X hot swaps around, so you've always got a third-person camera.
But voice-driven gameplay promises to be End War's most talked-about feature.
We started off looking at SOCOM, which is, you know, it's quite good. It's genuinely useful and it works. But we thought, okay, where can we improve that? And basically there were two things there. One was that just in the previous 4 years, the software for recognition has improved. And secondly, it's just with the increased power of the consoles relative to the PS2, you can dedicate more processor to it. So we can increase the reliability of the recognition to the point where you can confidently give all of the orders. Well, we don't see the thing that's going to define RTS on console as being about remapping the controls. It's really about giving you that different point of view and immersing you in the world. So, yeah, we would absolutely love that End War is to the RTS genre what KOTOR was to the RPG genre.
Advances in game design often go hand in hand with technological breakthroughs, of course. And one single technology-fueled mechanic lies at the heart of two of Ubisoft's biggest upcoming games: the ability to lose yourself in the crowd.
Splinter Cell Conviction's crowd-based mechanics are fueling a game that, at first sight at least, is unrecognisable as a Sam Fisher adventure. The hunter has now become the hunted as Fisher turns fugitive.
As a player, your goal is to understand what's happening, why, what's going on, and who's behind this, and you know what's wrong. Because Sam is convinced that he has done nothing wrong. We've been working very closely with the fans from the beginning. Their first reaction was, "What's going on? Where's Sam?" and then they've discovered those new possibilities, those new mechanics. They were like, "Okay, well, this looks awesome. I want to play this game, and you know, never mind." And to us, it's a nice way to expand the brand. But overall, I think the Sam we're proposing is much closer to the original Sam we've designed 7 years ago. Used to wear a beard, a white beard, but well, this time it's not white. But we're coming back much closer to the original elements. But because Sam has always been in a position to receive orders, we didn't have much opportunities to show him and play with him and through the players discover Sam. I'm convinced that this is where the future of stealth needs to go, and with a more active approach and a bit more action oriented. But we're maintaining this similar philosophy we had in the past by detecting, you know, this relationship we've talked about, the relationship between the player and his environment.
Sounds like a plan to us.
See, the thing about this Assassin's lock is it's great for stalking your prey. So, Jade, do you think I've got what it takes to be in the Assassin's Creed?
I'd say, except for the fact of not having weapons or not really blending in when you joined and making a bit of noise, I think you're almost there.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ubisoft Montreal's mysterious medieval adventure is undoubtedly one of the most exciting games in the world right now. And we're not just saying that to get Jade to like us. Disappointingly, it wasn't playable. We'll just have to wait until E3 for that, but a brand new trailer did reveal more.
did show off some of the other cities that you haven't seen before. So if you pay attention to the trailer, you'll see we show some shots in Damascus, which hasn't been shown before, and we show Jerusalem, which hasn't been shown before, and we show the Kingdom, which hasn't been shown before. But we're really saving the next big, you know, hands-on and demo and live playing and everything else for mid-July.
What we do know is freedom of choice, that staple of the new generation, will play a big part in Altair's adventure.
You could choose to go into some guy's fortress and be like, I'm a badass fighter, I like adrenaline type of stuff, I'm just going to blast my way through these guards, try and mow through everyone and get out, and that's my style. If you want to have like people helping you, that's always going to make the game easier and allow you to do some different tactics.
And we can't wait to try out the spectacularly suicidal leap of faith as seen at the end of the latest trailer.
So there is a gameplay reason to do that. When you're being pursued and chased, what you're trying to do is first break the line of sight. One good way to lose your enemies is to climb up a high building, and they're not going to be able to follow you. It may take them a while, and then jump off into this bale of hay, and they're going to think like, where did he go? He vanished, he's dead.
Thanks, Jade. I reckon I'm in there, you know.
It's cute, no?